All right. So here we are. Chris Lyon here with the Louisiana Film Prize 2016. I've got filmmaker Iddo Goldberg on the line here, and we're going to chat about his film, which is in competition for this year's contest, and it's called St. Jude's Crossing. Iddo, do you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
We're going to troubleshoot something here real quick. I want to make sure I'm not seeing your video again. We're going to troubleshoot something here. I've lost your video feed.
Yeah, it was frozen ever since we took that picture. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. 1 second, I'm going to back out and come back in.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. If you'll close out that window, and then bear with us, folks. We're just waiting here. We had to re-invite Mr. Goldberg to the chat, so bear with us just for a minute. There we go. Very good.
There we go.
Awesome. So again, here we are. I have Iddo Goldberg, director of St. Jude's Crossing, a top finalist for this year's Louisiana Film Prize contest. Iddo, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your film?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Iddo Goldberg. I am by trade an actor. This is the first film that I've put together with a proper crew. The film really tells a story of a person who's kind of been trying to decide and trying to make a choice, but all this time that he's been trying to do that, he actually hasn't made a choice or made a decision about something. And this is a story that looks into the outcome of that situation.
Absolutely. And so you tell us a little bit about how you found out about the film prize. You have connections with other filmmakers who participated in the film prize before. So how did you come into contact with it, and what made you want to get involved with it?
Well, last year, Tamsin, one of the actors on Salem, we've been shooting Salem in Louisiana and Shreveport for the last 3 years, and Tamsin Merchant, who stars on Salem, made a film last year, and she made the top 20 as well, and it went down very well. And she really inspired me to get out there and use the downtime to put something together. What I couldn't have possibly imagined was that we would get it off the ground and get it going. I came in the beginning of the season shooting, and we had a read through, and I saw Tamsin sitting down on the table after we'd done the read through, and she was kind of putting all her scenes together, all her cards and stuff, and she was kind of doing this, and I was thinking, I was like, what's Tamsin up to? We had a chat, and I was just immediately, I think I made a decision right then and there. I was like, I'm making a film this year for sure. And we you know, we have a guy called Martin Ledwith who's on our set, and he helps some of the actors, and he's really fantastic. And we decided to write this film together. And I think I wanted to write a story about, you know, indecision and you know, what it is that we leave on this planet if we don't choose a side, or we don't make a choice or a commitment to follow something. And you know, this character was born of Joe Hollis, and we kind of just went for it. And I mean, the first try I had with the script, I kind of realized that I wanted to write a story about a cop and what happened on a specific day, and it was originally called Day One, and how things were going to go really badly for this guy on his first day on the force. And I was looking at it, I was like, wait, someone's made this movie already. It's called Training Day. It's not going to be better than that. Abort. And we just kept on, me and Martin kept on discussing the story, and it just slowly got deeper, and it got more and more meaning. And it's strange how when you start to get going, how these characters kind of start writing the movie for you.
I mean, that's a sign of having good characters, is when the characters end up dictating everything that you're doing. I mean, tell us how you kind of arrived at this, you know, this character, like, you know, you've retained some of that from the original concept. You know, he is a cop, and he's, you know, is dealing with an abnormal day in his life, and he has this partner played by Garrett Kruzoff, who's he's a local actor, but he, you know, he's a bit of an asshole and kind of run-of-the-mill type situation. You know, what was the inspiration for your main character, you know, in terms of his attitude and how he was, you know, approaching this particular day? Well,
I think the main character became someone that that was kind of like, you know, your everyday person. Sorry, get rid of this and not pop up. It's your everyday person who doesn't really know what's wrong and what's right. And, you know, we all know what's wrong and what's right, but sometimes we don't know who's wrong and who's right, and who's doing good and who's doing bad. And I think Joe kind of falls into that trap, and that was a big part of how I got to this. It was all these signs were, you know, he was getting all these signs, but he couldn't understand what was right and what was wrong. And that's kind of how we got into, you know, that's kind of how I got Joe into the predicament and the kind of challenges that he faces in this story.
So tell us a little bit about the crew that you assembled. I mean, obviously some of them you had worked with day to day on Salem, but tell me about some of those people, how you approached them to be a part of the project, and how some of their roles evolved.
You know, when you're making a short film, I've very quickly learned that, you know, you can call yourself the director if you want, but you better be ready to be the producer. Once we finished writing the script, and me and Martin were really happy with it, it was a question of, okay, so how are we gonna make this film? And, you know, I've been taking pictures for years, so I got myself a pretty decent camera, and you know, we shot the film on the Alpha systems. It was an A7R2 and an A7S, you know, the question was like, how are we going to really get it made? So it was really kind of bugging everyone on the Salem set day in, day out, and, you know, just, you know, between takes, just kind of going like, hey, listen, if you're not too busy later on, do you want to read this? We're thinking about doing this in a few weekends away from now. So I handed all these scripts out, kind of not really expecting to get anyone on board. And we got amazing people together. You know, we got James Yates, who's been, you know, Jack Lynch, who's been doing crazy effects for years on many things, and you know, he kind of signed up to do stuff. He was like, yeah, I'll help you. And then Teddy Sapp, our grip, said, yeah, I'll help you. And Bob Foster, our second unit DOP on set, was like, yeah, I'll shoot it for you. And suddenly all this crew came together, really experienced professional people, and they were all like looking at me going, okay, what do you want to do? And it's just the idea of closing your eyes and kind of visualizing how you want things to look and where you want this, how you want this story to flow. And I remember kind of drawing this. There's this one shot. Do you remember that shot, or that shot from the roads POV, looking up at Joe in the car?
Right. Yeah.
You know, that was like a sketch. I can't tell you, for that reason alone, why you should go out and try and make a movie. Is seeing that happen. It's like one of the most pleasing and satisfying feeling ever. You know, we finish on a I don't know if people know, but on a weekly TV schedule, you have all these scenes that need to be filmed by a certain time, and every day you kind of finish later because everyone on the crew needs a certain amount of time before they can start working again. So as you shoot throughout the week, your call times start getting later, and your wrap times start getting later in turn. So we'd finished on Friday really late. I think it was like something like 2:30. James Yates, our location manager, got me this Queen Victoria car that was going to be this police car. I had Mike Wynn, our graphics designer, you know, get home, I think at like 2:30 and make these skins that were going to go in the car. And I got to the studio at like 8 o'clock, and I saw all these people who had wrapped maybe 4 hours before, 5 hours before, and they were rigging this police car up for me, and blessed, you know, yeah. Nuts. I don't know if I feel extremely lucky to have had all that, you know, all those facilities and all those people kind of jump on board. I feel like, yeah, I'll say I feel very lucky to have had that, you know.
Well, I'll say that, you know, when I was, you know, watching the film, you know, seeing that police car, I actually had to stop and look up. I mean, I'm from Louisiana. I had to look up if there was such a thing as St. Jude's Parish, and to discover that it was entirely fictional and that you guys had built this, you know, this piece, the car that fit within that fictional universe. That, I mean, it was really well done, and I genuinely thought you guys had acquired a police car from a place called St. Jude Parish and had it driven up. And you know, I should know my geography better, but I just had to stop and take a double take on it.
Well, so, yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I can't tell you what that means to hear you say that. You've watched a film or two in the past, so that means a lot. St. Jude came from, you know, St. Jude's the patron saint of lost causes, and you know, I don't want to give too much away, but that, you know, that very much fit who Joe Hollis was, you know, and so it kind of fit that he was there and a part of the St. Jude's Parish, and that's, you know, that's where he would be serving as a cop. So yeah, so all those skins that you saw in that car, they were made by Mike Wynn. Mike, no, I will not FaceTime you now. Mike Wynn, thank you so much. If you're listening, or if anyone that you know is listening, he really came through with these skins. You know, we saw this blank Queen Victoria car become a very convincing police car. Absolutely.
I'm gonna ask you to back out and click on that link again, because we've lost your video again.
Okay.
In the meantime, folks, you can look at my ugly mug and hear me talk about I mean, I met Iddo. There he is. I was just telling people while we waited, I was telling about meeting you out on a pickup day for your film, and how just exhausted you were, and you'd actually done a video interview for us that day, but that you had Joe in this kind of dark space. I don't want to give anything away about it, but it was, you know, it was kind of a in the weeds day for everybody, and just seeing you kind of make this thing happen as you were kind of guiding the camera on these pickup shots, and you know, every shot you meticulously decided, you know, that what you liked, what you didn't like, but the whole time it was just like, oh, this is so great. I'm getting what I want, and it's so satisfying to see somebody have that vision fulfilled and to get to see it in real time. But that was a lot of fun that day.
Yeah, thanks for coming down and checking it out. It meant a lot. Like, you know, everyone was really chuffed after you left. They were like, hey, that's so cool. Like, you guys came in and had a look. Again, Jack Lynch, FX Master, we put together this really cool, like, dark space that we wanted to shoot in. And, you know, it was him getting me loads of help, and it was me going down to Home Depot and getting some 8x2s and putting all these wooden blocks together. And, you know, it's very easy to get these ideas and go, oh yeah, that's not going to work. You know, sometimes your ideas actually are not that bad and they work, you know. So if you've got an idea, you know, don't think negatively about it.
Well, I'll kind of start leading us towards the end here, but I want to talk about where you are in your post-production process, what that was like, kind of getting to see it come together. You know, once you had shot, like, you have to put this piece together and you have to look at what you actually have instead of maybe, you know, we always have to make sacrifices and compromises on set. So talk a little bit briefly about that editing process and kind of where you are leading up to the festival here.
Okay, so we got, you know, we went out and shot all this stuff, and one of your very cool locals, Calvin O'Neill Jr., who has a film of his own in the final.
Yeah,
the Cookie Jar, I believe. I've seen a little bit of it. It's really cool. You should check it out. You know, we sat down and we kind of put all these pieces together. And what's really interesting is that when you edit your script, you think you're going to be really satisfied, and you're not. The editing process is so interesting. It's literally like shooting another film. It's kind of giving that film that humanity that you were thinking of when you were writing it, or when you were trying to make it. There's all these things that you sometimes do by accident, sometimes you plan, and you're like, oh wait, that wasn't supposed to be that way at all, but the way it is now is amazing, you know. And it's suddenly very human and suddenly very true to life. It's such an interesting experience cutting a movie together. And I would recommend anyone who wants to go out and make their first film, on a side note, just do it. Don't think about it, just do it. If you can, what I was going to say, if you can, you know, like I walked around for ages telling people while we were editing, like, no one should direct a movie until they've sat in an editing suite and tried to edit a movie. There is something that you learn by being in an editing suite that is so helpful when you go out and make a film. Prepping, having the right communication with your editor. I'm learning about frame rates now, you know, like, we have all these different, like, some of it was shot in some frame rate, another was shot in, I have no idea what any of that meant. I kind of still don't, but I'm learning about all that stuff now. Post-production is a beast. Be prepared to kind of, you know, jump on some protein bars and get through it.
that's how post-production lives. That's my trade, is in post-production, and it's lots of Red Bull and, you know, energy drinks, things like that.
Yeah. What was really great for me though, was once we kind of finished most of the editing, we kind of, me and Calvin had to part ways because he's in Shreveport and I'm here in Los Angeles. And, you know, like, I go on Premiere Pro, really slow and frustrating to begin with. And what I will say is, you will get it. It just comes with a few, you know, with some time, put your hours in, and sooner or later, you learn the basics that you need to sit there and continuously watch your film, as annoying and as as mind-numbing as it is, just keep watching your movie and every second, if there's a second in your film that doesn't have a reason to be in it, just get rid of it, you know? I think we managed to cut nearly like 5 minutes off our edit before I think we handed it to you at 12. I think it's running at like 10:30 now, 10:38.
Yeah, I mean, getting that tight, you know, edit is really important, and we stress it on any filmmaker that participates in the film prize. Not, you know, and part of there is a time limit of 15 minutes, but you know, there's a sweet spot in there where if you're telling a concise story, that you're able to really hone in on the point of a scene, and once you reach that point in the scene where the point is made, you can move on and you can start to explore the next piece. And
yeah, it's very much it's actually very much like acting. You know, a trap that actors fall into is, you know, playing the same kind of emotion and same beats for really long, not understanding that things change so quickly in life. You know, you can get some bad news and then a second later hear something really great, and then when you're putting a film together, you're like, well, he wouldn't have got over that feeling so quickly, but you do. You know, there's a real real advantage to keeping things going and getting rid of those really cool shots that you really like and that really cool line that you thought was great. But you have to just be so honest with yourself and say, does this have the right to be in this film? Yeah.
And that's I think it's great that you've learned all this in just your first, you know, experience, as you said, with kind of a real proper crew and everything. And so it makes me very happy that you've had that opportunity. I want to move to the very end of this, where we talk about the festival. You know, have you talked to others who have been to the festival? What kind of are your hopes and expectations as you roll into this last few weeks before it really kicks off, you know?
I am just looking forward to I'm looking forward to getting back to Shreveport. I think I might have spoken to you about this because you know, this is our third year shooting Salem this year, and when I kind of went out and started making this film, I really started to get to know Shreveport, you know. So when we handed this film in on July 12th, a big part of what I wanted was just for this film to get an audience. You know, you make a film, and of course you're making the film for people to watch, but you can't, I never dreamt that we would get an audience. Like the idea that the lights are going to go out and people are going to be sat there and they're going to watch this film, I mean, that is nuts. So the fact that all the people that live in Shreveport that work in this will be able to go and see it, I'm just like, I've won in my mind already. You know, everything else that happens is a bonus, like truly. So I'm really looking forward to get back to Shreveport. You know, having a beer with so many people that were part of this film. This film really lives in Shreveport. People like Landon Miller, who really helped me. He's like an awesome guy. Thank you, Landon. You rock, dude. And people like Peggy Legason, who let us use her amazing house for nothing and was just so happy to have us making like raucous noise for Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, man, I'm chuffed.
Well, that's great. We can't wait to have you back down. And for those of you watching, the dates of the Louisiana Film Prize this year are September 29th through October 2nd. The films will be...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Continue.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you have time, just to kind of maybe tell me just a little bit about what happens in those 2 days. Like, I know it starts with like a music festival kickoff on the Thursday night. Is that right?
Yeah, so we actually have, it's the film prize and the music prize. This year, music prize is kind of expanding to fill the same kind of space that the film prize does. So on Thursday night, there's an opening party for the film festival, which is also the Emerging Artist Showcase for Music Prize. So we have 5 bands that are competing for $5,000 cash and the ability to play on stage with the Polyphonic Spree, which is a great band. If you haven't heard of it, you definitely have heard them because they're in movies and TV commercials all the time. But you know, then on Friday, The film starts screening 10 a.m. in the morning, and it's crazy because the festival has evolved to this point where in Shreveport, 10 a.m. on a Friday, you have lines around the block for people coming to see these films. And that evening, there's another round of musicians. We have Beach Slang, we have Blue Bonnets, we have Kyle Kraft and some others that are going to be playing downtown. And then on Saturday, we have film industry discussion panels. We have more films showing all day Saturday, food trucks, and then in the afternoon, there's more music down at the Red River Revel. We have the Breton Sound, we have Polyphonic Spree playing on the big stage down there. And then that evening we have, as the films sort of come to a close and the last filming session starts and voting starts to wind down, we have an after party where we'll have K-Flay, Polyphonic Spree, and some other artists too. So there's music, film, food, the whole thing. It's a really wonderful deal. And right now the tickets are $30 for film, $30 for music, or you can buy them together for $50, and they'll be going up closer to the festival. So now's really the time to get them, and that's at lafilmprize.com/tickets. So we hope everybody can come down and really take advantage of all of the things that the prize has to offer. In addition to the Red River Rebel, which is running at the same time. It's a culture and music festival that happens every fall. So it's going to be a wild, wild weekend, nonstop.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Is this like on a YouTube channel now?
Yeah. There's a YouTube link, and you should have it in your email, actually.
Okay, so people can comment on this thing?
They can, yeah.
So I will say the first people, if people are planning to come down, like the first person who writes St. Jude's Crossing in the comment section of this video, I will have 2 passes for the weekend for you, waiting there for you.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, you heard him, guys. Make your comment. First person, you said they have to write the name of the film, so St. Jude's Crossing, in the comment section, and Iddo will hook you up with 2 tickets to the festival. So very good. Any last words for you, Iddo?
I'm as a filmmaker so excited to come out, but I would say from what you just said, whoever comes and checks this festival out, I'm sure they're gonna have a great time, and I look forward to seeing you all down there. Very good. All right, guys, we're gonna sign off. Thank you so much for joining us, Iddo, and we look forward to seeing you down there. Thanks, Chris. Thank you so much, mate. All right, bye-bye.